Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
We're exhibiting new work by Gary Kelly that was created in collaboration with a show at the Waterloo Cedar Falls Symphony featuring the New World Symphony by Antonin Devore Jax. The collection on display at the Hearst Center is a series of oil pastels that were drawn by Gary Kelly, one of our illustrators here in town, a nationally recognized illustrator. He did this in conjunction with the symphony as part of one of their visual musical experiences that they do every year. Devore Jax visited the United States. He was asked to come to be at the National Conservatory of Music in New York City, and while he was there, he started to really miss his homeland, and he was from Prague. And he had heard about a community in Iowa called Spillville, where there's a really great Czech community. And so he decided to visit Spillville in the summer of 1893.
Devore Jax spent the summer there. He was not there in the fall, he wasn't there in the spring, he was just there for a summer. I went up there early September, and we just went where I wanted to go that day, which was pretty cool. I had done a lot of homework, and there were areas of the region that I wanted to look at with my own eyes, not just pictures of them. Anybody that sees these on the wall and has been at the concert is going to see quite a contrast. I mean, they're 30 feet wide in the concert, and I don't think there's one 30 inches wide here.
The work that's on display really details kind of the journey that Devore Jax took from coming to the United States from Prague in 1892, and then visiting Iowa, specifically Spillville, that Czech community here in Iowa, and then going back to New York City and then back to Czechoslovakia.
I want to find textures and patterns and things like that that the audience can absorb, rather than something that looks like a photograph. A lot of these were done with a technique that I've kind of stumbled on in the last couple of years and really enjoy. They're done by rolling out etching ink onto high quality drawing paper, and then let the ink set up overnight so it's dry, solid, and then the next day draw over the top of it with pastel pencils and a little bit of pastel work, mostly pastel pencils. And so that's what most all of these are. That's how they're created. But it also reflects a little bit the style of art that was kind of blossoming during Devore Jax's time in Central Europe, in Bohemia. That was the stylistic inspiration for me. And when he got to the Midwest, he was fascinated by the music of Native Americans, so he was influenced by African Americans, Native Americans, and of course his home in Central Europe, Bohemia. So those things were really a joy for me to work on. And those images have almost nothing to do with the inspiration of the landscape or the wildlife, the cows wading across the Turkey River, things like that, up in Winneshiek County. I would hope about 80% of the time, the one that's on my drawing board is my favorite. And then I move on to the next one. It's like doing farm scenes and imagery like that is not what I normally pursue. But this way, with this music, and as period pieces from the late 1800s, and having visited the locations and enjoy the music and the homework, then I can do a farm scene and really get involved in it. It might sound strange for a Midwesterner, but that's how it works for me. The bridge in Prague, from about that period, the late 1800s, was an interesting photo that I found, and I wanted to do a picture of it. And then I found this other interesting photo of the muse, or whatever she is, on the train station in Prague. So they both have something to do with traveling a little bit, which is what Devore Jax was going to do. And I wanted to add her to the picture. She's not in that location in Prague. She's on the train station, not on the bridge. But and I changed her hand too. The position of her left hand there was different in the actual sculpture. And I changed it so it looked like she was suggesting to Dvorak that he go this way, you know, from left to right. He go to America. That's what that was about. America shows up on the horizon, actually on the screen there's a horizon, and then the Statue of Liberty creeps up over the horizon. Yeah, he loved that music. He didn't really know much about it until he got to New York City. The New York City piece there, of course he loved trains, but that's just kind of contrived. The pigeons, he loved the birds, of course. He loved the train sounds, but he also would take walks every day from, literally, I think he lived on 17th Street, you know, which is lower Manhattan, all the way up to Central Park, which is 59th Street. Because that's the closest place he could go to sit on a bench and listen to birds and watch trees rustle and things like that. So he'd walk up to Central Park every chance he got. You know, that's the fun, the reward of making pictures that have a story with them. Well, that's Dvorak walking the Turkey River. That is the Spillville Mill when it was still there. That's just part of the way I want to do these. You know, I want to make sure that they're accurate. The Spillville Mill, when it was there, looked like that. I found a postcard, you know, of the mill in the Billy Clock Museum. A farm in Winneshiek County. That's a farm from that era. It's not a farm today. Maybe it's still there. I found an old photograph of a farm that I liked in Winneshiek County, and that's it. So that's, you know, overhead views of Prague and stuff like that. I had a farmer friend of mine at the concert come up to me afterwards and say, give me a hard time for this. He said, what is that? That's not the way you put hay up or whatever. I said, yes it is. That's an old photograph. That's a rake. That's how you raked hay back in the, you know, 120 years ago. Oh yeah, okay. He agreed with me then. If you look close, there are little teeth in it down there. Stuff like that. That's the big part of the fun of it. I hope they appreciate the Midwestern quality of them, I guess. I've done so much work over the years, the decades, involving so many other places that I hope they'll appreciate the fact that I'm close to home on this stuff, and I really enjoyed it. But I had to enjoy it because I wanted my inspiration to come from where Dvorak found his inspiration, and that was in Europe and in African American and Native American culture and things like that. So that's part of it.
If you missed the performance of the symphony, you can get up really close to them and see the detail in the images, and you can follow the story of Dvorak's journey here coming from Czechoslovakia and then through Iowa and New York City and then back to Czechoslovakia visually as you go through the gallery.